Peter. Should I start?
Yeah.
My mom and dad always taught me to care, to always be aware, to study the facts and understand the tax and the super PACs, and from that day, I made a pact. Always vote to help education. That's the best way to help the population, because no matter what your frustration or if you're in a difficult situation, the future's in the hands of the young. When I grew up, the idea of caring died. Died a slow, painful, chai tea, speak softly, I listen to bands you've never heard of death. Instead, in my peers' ears, music blared. When I talked about the news, I could feel them glaring at me, staring at the fool uncool enough to break that rule. That fool who would tell them to take off their iPad eye patch, beg them to turn down their blaring reverberation so they could see what they could do to help our population. Because the future's in the hands of the young. This was my first presidential election. I wanted to be correct in who'd I'd elect. I wanted my conviction not to contradict, I wanted my conviction not to be my own contradiction. I was confused, scared to let my ego get bruised. Be sure, my mother told me. We need confidence among the young. We can't just scrape by. Her mouth got dry and she let out a cry. The future's in the hands of the young! I volunteered to call voters in my area. Hi, this is Karina calling from Organizing for America. Just letting you know that you need to get your ballot in on time. But call after call, I encountered something scarier. Citizen after citizen after citizen told me they couldn't care less who'd win. They couldn't care less about democracy. I was stunned by their hypocrisy. Through tears of frustration, I couldn't even understand what I was hearing. It was as if the words were being twisted, morphed, warped, distorted into a language I didn't understand. How could anybody still be speaking apathy? Like my friends and classmates only hearing their MP3s and iced chai teas. Election day, I felt unstrung. I coughed, could feel it swelling in my tongue. That song unsung, the future's in the hands of the young, I shouted. But I wasn't the only one.
Stop in the name of love before you break my heart. Stop in the name of love before you break my heart. Think it all over. Think it all over.
Seems to be coming in by now.
Someone else gets cleared walks here. Please get it.
Beautiful.
Do I have a line? Because normally Kylie says something and Excuse me?
The hat, I mean, it's the most beautiful hat I've ever seen.
Thank you. It's just a hat. Do you want to try it on?
Sure.
You know, it looks good on you. It's a good color. Why do you still wear this thing? It was never even. What is that?
I wrote you something. Marry me, and you shall be the happiest woman on Manor Sea.
Romantic. Go.
Yes.
disgrace that threatens your daughter's, sister's, and mother's lives. Ex-milliner and Beaverton mother of three, Madge Miller, was found dead in her home, fallen victim to a masochistic obsession with housework. Miss Miller was a country village maid, but a source close to the family tells us that her husband convinced her that she would be the happiest woman on land or sea if they were married, and invited her to join the dangerous housewives movement titled only The Woman's Sphere. We've prepared this dramatization for our viewers. It appears that Miss Miller, with the consent and support of her husband, forced herself to drudge and toil, tying herself to the kitchen stove for hours and depriving herself of all outside contact, apart from her husband and a recipe book. Neighbors report that Miss Miller could be heard to say her life was nobly lost in saving a servant's cost. It appears that Miss Miller took the words to heart this afternoon when she died of cardiac arrest after a particularly intense laundry folding session. Our staff poet has composed this eulogy to Miss Miller. Ah, of all the sad thoughts of women and men, the saddest is this: it needn't have been.
I have a neighbor, one of those not very hard to find, who know it all without the day. Never change their mind. I asked him what a friend. He said it don't surreal. My life of man is all made up. Keep on letting her speak.
Dear Diary, I vote because I have to vote, not because I want to. Elections are messy and ugly and I hate them. There are people polling and yelling from this side and polling and yelling from this side, and I don't want to hear any of it. Both sides are being taken to extremes and both are just as equally ridiculous, violent, and judgmental. There was little love during election time. Good intentions get carried away. I vote because I have to vote, not because I want to. I voted by process of elimination, and I stand by my vote, but I'm not going to buy a t-shirt.
Well, I registered to vote the day I